Greetings. Today I want to speak to you concerning the many contradictions of Neville Goddard. Okay, and I'll be all over the place, to be honest with you. And you have to learn to read between the lines. Now, the things that I'm going to say, it's not going to sit well with many people because Neville has been placed on a pedestal, and many people who would have been teaching the work of Neville Goddard, many are just doing it for a buck. Many are doing it for views and subscribers. And that is why many are evading the Bible and evading the promise and refusing to speak about the families and the bloodlines that have always been ruling over the people, by keeping them under the fear of God, which is actually keeping them under the fear of themselves. And so many times when Neville would say that if you think of a Lord or a God outside of yourself, you have the wrong God, he never tells you who got you to have that kind of belief or where that belief came from. But as one who born and grew up in the Caribbean and know of the Goddard Empire, the family empire that they would have built throughout the islands, I can assure you that there's a common pattern throughout the islands from certain families who would have had slaves in these islands. And Neville family originated from England, and they owned slaves. Okay, I would have provided proof of that from an article in a newspaper in Barbados last year when they had the death of Richard Goddard, which is a family to Neville Goddard, Joseph Goddard, which is Neville Goddard's father, and so on, right? Where he spoke about they lost some slaves and certain plot of lands, and so they were forfeited, okay, from certain things. And that is why you would hear Neville speak as if they didn't have anything, but that's not quite the truth. And that is why also, if you would have ever read my book called The Black Mystic from Ethiopia, Neville Goddard Mentor, you would realize that there are many people who got offended of me writing that book and was saying that I was on low vibration and so on. But that's not true. Anyone who tells you because they have become awakened or become enlightened that they have become colorblind, they are liars. They are deceivers. Doesn't matter if they look like you, they are liars and deceivers. They're selling themselves short. Okay. Now, the truth is, for example, in my country, everyone have to pay their electricity bill. But this electricity bill that they're paying, it is actually going to a certain family. Yet people believe that it is the government of the country that it is going to, but no, it is going to a certain family. The banks, it is going to a certain family also. We pay for water also, and it is going to a certain family because they would have set up a hierarchy system in these colonies, and these families were passing down certain secret that was stolen, and they were passing it down from lip to ear. And that is why Neville Goddard would have played the part of Judas. So if Neville had played the part of Judas, who was playing the part of Christ? Now, Neville said that he was taught by Abdullah, a black man. Yet Neville would have never gone back to Barbados, where it's predominantly black people, to teach them the law and the promise. Yet he says that his life was prophesied about before he left Barbados for America. And who were these people that was prophesying for him? And so I'm saying all of this to teach you the language of symbology. Because the language of symbology will allow you to know that there are certain families that would actually inherit generational wealth whose parents at this time chooses to listen to me and to even get the Bible where Jesus is omitted and start affirming their I am and taking back their power. Many people fail to realize it's a switch of power. Many people fail to realize it's a symbol that they normally show you in the time of the Olympics where they're passing the torch. And the torch has been passed back because this is the time when the Ark of the Covenant must come back to its rightful owners, the rightful people. And that is why Neville said that Abdullah said to him that thousands of years ago, both of them were philosophers back in China, but he would have agreed to forget. So there was a time when we passed the torch by sharing certain secrets, and we paid a price, but it must come back. It must come back. And this is the time that it would have come back to us. That is why you have to go beyond the law and the promise and understand that the Bible is a book of nature. It is not just a book of metaphysics and so on. It's a book of nature also. And that is why you have to understand why Bill Gates wanted to black out the sun. Just think about if the sun is blacked out, what would happen? They will create an ice age. And so, my people, I want you to understand that you are to get more closer to nature. I want you to understand that you are the people of the sun. You are the people of the planet, and you have to take back your power by giving back that Jesus and Mary story that was told to you as literal and as secular history. That is why all the people who believe, as I said before, that when you become conscious and enlightened that you do not see color, they fail to realize that they were given a savior with a color. They were given a redeemer with a color. And that savior and redeemer that was given to them with a color has been keeping them in idolatry and keeping them in poverty. That is why even in my country, the very first company from the private sector that instituted compulsory vaccination of its workers was the Goddard family business. And it's the biggest business in my country. Because these families have been ruling all along. And in my book, I mentioned that Neville was the son of a slave master. And Abdullah was the son of a savior. You have to understand, you have to read between the lines. Because, as I said before, they are bloodlines. And it is very good for you if you're the one who are breaking the curse in your family and the one who's going to create generational wealth for the next generation, because you choose to listen to me, one who they call in this country a crazy man. So my brothers and my sisters, Neville's work has a lot of contradiction, but you have to learn to read between the lines and learn to take back your power, because Neville would have exposed all of his ancestors and what they would have done. So when Neville himself said that he was Judas, when you look back to many years ago, every so-called Good Friday, they used to show you the story called Jesus of Nazareth, and they will always portray Judas to be a black man. But now we see the true Judas, and we see who would have stolen your identity. and give you idolatry. So, my brother and my sisters, do not just be gullible and start speaking about the law and jumping on the Neville Goddard bandwagon. There's a reason why Neville Goddard Wikipedia was removed. What was written there first by someone who was a personal friend of Neville Goddard, it was removed. Okay, so I know what was there before. That is why in my first video I told you that Neville Goddard's father, they all knew about this secret long before Abdullah, as Neville would have stated. Okay, and they acquired the building in 1924 after his brother was using this power from 1922 to 1924, and up to this day they still have that rule over the people. Also, in the time of COVID, as you can see, you could have seen clearly how the rich ruled over the poor and how the borrower is actually a slave to the lender. That is why the horse slaves that people refer to as prime ministers and presidents, they were instituting the law upon the people to take a job or lose the job. So this systematic form of slavery is still run by certain families, but there must come a time when there will be a real savior who would awake from the dream of life and teach you concerning the real single eye. And that is why when Neville speaks of his awakening, he never tells you about the single eye, yet in his book he had the single eye. Also, Neville spoke about himself being a vegetarian and how Abdullah taught him to get rid of his cribbles. But common sense would teach you that you have to live closer to nature and you have to eat closer to nature, and so you have to practice balance. So there are times when you have to eat more closer to nature if you want to get better dreams, if you want to transcend more easier, if you want to feel more lighter, you want to vibrate, you want to levitate, whatever, you got to go more lighter. You can't just eat any and anything and drink any and anything. All the animals in this world, they are all animals, but their diet are different. And certain animals don't interbreed with other animals. These are things that we have to look to as examples to teach us that nature is not wrong and that nature is our greatest teacher. That is why those who teach you the Bible metaphysically and psychologically and esoterically, they're not taking nature and bring nature and tie it into the rest of the scriptures for you, because it will set you free from their idolatry. That is why they give you a S-O-N to believe instead of the S-U-N. No, they want to block the S-U-N. When the S-U-N is your friend, he's your savior. He's the one that rises each and every day to feed you, to clothe you, to provide you with money, because money comes from tree, because all paper comes from tree. And you cannot have these things without the sun. You can have nothing without the science of photosynthesis, which is the science of light. That is why they keep you from the light that is within you. But you have that power of that light that is within you. So there's so much contradictory, and all of these contradiction is a form of protection, because we are actually in a race and everyone wants to have the advantage. So I'm not here trying to downplay Neville. I'm here to speak the truth. That is why many would have never spoken about Abdullah. Okay, and Neville was the one who incorporated a black man in the scheme of things. That's why Neville, when he was asked the question, he spoke about, when he was asked the question of reincarnation, he spoke about Krishnamurti, but you have to understand the message of symbology, where he said in the scheme of things, those who wanted to always keep melanated people in mental slavery, they were making a mistake, never incorporating a black man, yet they're speaking about reincarnation. And then, when he incorporates the black man in the scheme of things, this is where he blew the cover of the Messianic secret. The black woman and child. And I'm saying all of this because the one who appeared to me was a melanated one. And the final experience was that of the single eye. The all-seeing eye. So my brother, my sister, I know what I am speaking. And so, those who've been ruling and reigning over the people in these islands, I can see it. I can see it. That the rule must come to an end and the rightful rulers must rule again. All of the indigenous who are robbed and killed and raped, all of the aborigines, all these people must come back to their true inheritance. So my brothers, my sisters, this whole thing about Neville Goddard and Abdullah, it goes very, very, very deep. And many people are not willing to see how deep the rabbit hole goes because they've been trapped in seeking after material things. Many of them have jumped on the bandwagon. They never question anything. And many have become so attached. That is why those who would have been benefiting and who have been given certain privileges, they always refer to those who set up the system and say they. But they never tell you who are the they that set up the system to rob you and to keep you blind and to keep you from not knowing your true self and to keep you from not being connected to nature. So, my brothers, my sisters, I just want to say to you, before you swallow line, hook, and sinker, and get caught, I'm saying to you, think beyond money and think of your true identity being your divinity. Think about your history, and most of all, as I said before, your real identity. Your ancestors didn't suffer for nothing. They suffer, many of them, for a day like this. Because I know who visited me. I know who commissioned me. That's why I can say to you, Neville would have played his part. And he did a job that was well done. But Abdullah would have played his part also. And Abdullah actually means servant of God. And many people might say Abdullah is not an African name, but one thing I can assure you where the science came from. I can assure you where all these teachings really come from. And I can point you to the sun and I can say to you, out of the darkness comes the light. I can definitely say to you that there is a language of symbology and there are bloodlines and families on this planet. Let your family be a part of this legacy. Let your family be a part of those who would have realized the return of the ark of the covenant, and they behold an ancestor among them who come to show them the light that is within themselves. So, my brother, my sister, I can go on and on and on, and I can say so much. But I want to say to you, don't be stupid. Wake up. and realize what has come to you. Wake up and realize what was taken away from you. Wake up and realize what was taught to you to keep you brainwashed and keep you in mental slavery. That is why the Savior must be born in a colony. That is why Neville born in the Caribbean. And there is a man in the Caribbean bringing a message to you to save you, saying that true salvation is self-realization. The people who sat in darkness along the seashore, they behold a great light. This is time to end the reign of Caesar over your life and take control of your life by taking back your power. Neville was born in the place of the sun. And Neville was sent with a message to a people. But he didn't bring the message to the people. He went to his people. Some people are going to vex with me for that. The same thing with William Branham. I know what I am talking about. That's why, my brothers and my sisters, learn to love and appreciate the image that you see in the mirror. That's the most important thing. It's not money. It's not what kind of car you drive. It's not what kind of house you live in. The most important thing is self-concept. And that is what they will have robbed you from. Your real true self-concept. That is why you have idiots on the internet who's been bought by money, who's saying that they become so conscious, they become so wise, that they become colorblind. That's not true. You don't become colorblind when you're away from the dream of life. Don't make no one fool you. You have to speak the truth. And everyone have to learn to equip their people. When there are all these people who are equipping their people with the knowledge, we must equip our people also with the knowledge. So, my brother, my sister, let me say again, I can go on and on and on, but I want to come to a close here. I want to say to you, if this is the very first time that you listen to me, what I'm saying, if it makes sense to you, and if it resonates with you, and you haven't subscribed already, just want to encourage you to subscribe, to like, to comment, or to share this video. Also, if you would like to do a one-on-one Bible study with me concerning the inner sun, to understand the inner sun science and technology biblically, I would definitely encourage you to do so. You can reach out to me and I'll get you the information. Also, if you feel strongly led to support this work, I want to remind you that we have a PayPal and the link is always down below. And if you feel led to follow me on Instagram or follow me on TikTok, you can follow me at Black Mad Guru. Also, I have a foundational course for $20 on my Patreon that is called the Inner Sun Science and Technology to Create Your Reality Consciously. And that's where I'm actually laying the foundation concerning this Inner Sun Science and Technology to create your reality. But if you want to go further and see how deep the rabbit hole goes and you want to do the one-on-one, I'll definitely encourage you to do so. But if you feel led to just do the $20 course for us, I'll also encourage you to do that also. So with that being said, my brother, my sister, I just want to say peace. Love you all. Out.